1:30 the kickoff when the Tigers welcome Arkansas to the Zoo. One other programming note, we found out today that next week's game at Tennessee in Knoxville will also kick off at 6:30 Central Time. So another night game for the Tigers coming up next week in Knoxville, Tennessee. Meanwhile, the coach is alongside. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing fine.
So you're wearing your Mizzou soccer coat shirt.
Yeah, I'm part of the team.
Yeah, part of the team. They of course advanced.
They're going to play KU, right?
They're in the NCAA tournament, and they will head to Lawrence,
KU.
Kansas to play.
Awesome.
Play that team over there.
Awesome. Yeah. Good luck.
So
good luck.
Congratulations to Brian Blitz and his team.
Yeah.
One of 8 SEC schools.
Wow.
Invited to the national tournament. So,
not very competitive, just like football, right?
Yeah, just like football. Not a very competitive league. You had a bye, obviously. Now you get back into it. The final push with 3 weeks left in the regular season. How was the off week?
It was good. It's different than our other bye week. We actually got most of our things done during the week that we wanted with our team. Basically, they had lifting. We had a couple walkthroughs with game planning. We had a practice on Wednesday, a real physical practice on Wednesday, and our players had off from football responsibilities from Thursday night until Sunday afternoon, so to give them a little break there. So that works out well for us last year. We also had a bye in the month of November. So that was good. I think they got away with the grind. I try to explain to people that these guys put so much into their preparation, and they're preparing to play in front of 75,000, 85,000, 100,000 people. They're preparing to play on national TV, and there's a grind and there's an intensity that goes with that takes a lot out of them. And so it was nice for a week to back away from it. And then the other thing is they got a chance to jump in their academics and get caught up or get ahead a little bit. So I think it was a good week.
From a health standpoint.
Yeah, Darius White is going to play, and he's 100% now, and so that's good. I'll get him back. And so other than that, we're in pretty good shape.
Pretty good shape. You did, though, announce the indefinite suspension of Arion Penton.
Yes, we did. And then Cortland Browning, well, that's a different situation.
Right.
Yeah, but John Gibson will move up to that starting position.
Yeah,
And then we all know that Braylon Webb, got suspended for the first half of this game, and the last half of the other on that call, which was analyzed. It was just a very, very difficult call. I thought he did about everything he could in his power to stay as low as he could. But what we'll do is Cortland Browning will go up and play with Ian Simon, and then we'll keep Singleton at the same nickel spot. So that's what we'll do. Then at halftime, we'll get that back, and then Webb will go back out and play.
You've always said you just slide one guy over and move the next guy up, and guys like John Gibson and Cortland Browning, veterans in the programs that have a lot of playing time.
Yeah, they both played a lot, and the question at my press conference is, you have this secondary that's been together the whole time, but Gibson's played quite a bit, Browning's played quite a bit. And what I always tell my team is when we lose a couple players or for whatever reason, what we have to do is I'm not as concerned about those two that are going to replace them as starters. If all you play around them at a higher level, it makes their job much easier to do. And so if we get a little bit better pass rush, if do the different things like that, that will help those guys in the back end a little bit. So I think that's the approach we take. And bottom line, you got to get it done. You
submitted the Braylon Webb hit, the targeting call against Kentucky, to the SEC office. What did you get back from them?
Well, what they said was that, and you see it slow motion, right when the player caught the ball, he turned, he took one step, and he saw Braylon coming, and Braylon was going down to his numbers, and you've seen a still shot of that. He hits him right in the numbers. And what happened was that at the end that the runner lowered his head, just barely lowered his head, touched his face mask. And then he hit him and made contact in his chest, but he touched the face mask, so that's part of the head. He was an unprotected player. That was the view of the SEC. And honestly, the player put his head down. They're going to err on the side of safety. That's what they're going to do. We understand that. I'm a proponent of that. We have to do that in college football. I think we've really made the game a lot safer. I think they're doing the NFL. We got to do it in high school football to protect this great game, and I'm very serious about that. But I also felt that Braylon did everything he could to get to go where he wanted to go, and the guy lowered himself a little bit. He barely creased it, and then he made contact in his chest at the number. So it was. I was disappointed, but I could see where they were coming from.
Under the guidelines of being safer. And again, you have been a proponent of that, but don't you think the Rules Committee needs to take a good long look and try to look at replays in terms of intent? Because if the player's intent was not one of malice, was one where, like in Anthony Sherrill's, he's leaning his helmet to the left and dropping the shoulder and makes contact with the player, or like this situation where Braylon's trying to come down, it's obviously they're trying to tackle it in the right way. Shouldn't they be able to go back and review that and take away that 1/2 suspension? Is that something you would like them to at least look at?
You know, I think the problem, too, that you have is when you're trying to make a tackle, you have an aiming point. And if that player lowers his body at all, then the angle changes.
Right.
And that's difficult. But honestly, the rule's been pretty good. You know, we're making a much safer game. And we have to do that. That's really important, or there was going to be a remarkably serious injury that would have happened that maybe would have changed all of football. So we're trying to do the right thing, and I think they're trying to get it right too. So I think, you know, hopefully 99% of the time that happens that way.
You had this situation a year ago at Indy. Andrew Wilson had to sit out the first half of that game, then came back in the second half. How do you handle that? He's just in the locker room by himself?
Well, he get on his cell phone and he can watch or iPad. He can pick the game up on an iPad and at least watch the game if he can. And so that's about the best thing to do. That's what Andrew did last year in that situation. And you know, so I'm sure that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do with Braylon in the first half this game.
It's Gary Pinkel. I'm Mike Kelly. Tiger Talk each week from Buffalo Wild Wings. It's presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors, a proud partner of Mizzou Athletics, locations near you. Joplin, Springfield, Cape Girardeau, Overland Park, Olathe, now in Belton, Missouri. You can also shop Academy Sports and Outdoors online at academy.com. Tiger Talk continues after this on the Tiger Network from Learfield Sports.
Hoch looks to the sideline. Now readies. Takes the snap. Wants to throw. Slant pattern. Sasser. Touchdown, Missouri.
Tiger Talk continues here on the Tiger Network. Buffalo Wild Wings on Columbia's southwest side. You can come to B-Dubs for late night overtime, 9 p.m. to close, Sunday through Friday. Score the lowest prices on every draft beer in the lineup. Text B-Dubs to 65780 for $5 off a $25 purchase during the late night overtime period. Gary Pinkel's alongside. Bottom of the hour on our Farmland Foods player segment, we'll visit with Matt Hoch and also with Mr. Evan Boehm. That comes your way at about 7:30. Last game against Kentucky, and of course we haven't had a chance to talk to you since the Kentucky game. Shane Ray became the all-time single-season sacks leader. Couple of sacks in the game. Named the SEC Defensive Player of the Week for the third time last week. That happened, third time this season. Shane Ray now with 12 this year. Just a thought on what this young man has accomplished this year.
Well, Shane, obviously has great athleticism. He runs well. He's a guy that he's turned into just a remarkable competitor. People talk about his tenacity and his ability to just keep coming back, time and time again. Because a lot of times, you're putting pressure on the quarterback, but sometimes the tackle wins. And I was so happy for him. Now you got to understand that he's got 3 games left in his junior year, and to think that he broke that record, and some pretty good people in front of him, Alden Smith and Michael Sam, and some really high-level people here. And so, I'm really proud of him. But it's a great lesson, I think, for all our younger players to watch how he competes. And we always talk about being a competitive football team. We talk about being a 6-second competitor. And here's a guy that kind of, you just watch him and lead by example. He's like one of the top 5 competitive people I've ever been around in my life. And just very happy for him. And I always remember, too, sitting in his home with his mom and recruiting him, and he told us he's going to come to Missouri. And to think, from that moment when you're sitting
Going to go to Missouri, though. At one point in time, he told you he was thinking about a late visit to Notre Dame.
Yes, he was talking about Notre Dame, and then he wisely changed his mind and decided to go to Missouri. So
yeah,
it was a good move.
Yeah, we're glad that he did, and of course, so is his father and his mother as well. That level of excellence, and I say excellence because of the way that they've played. If you look at the defensive front, and not only the 2 guys on the edge in Golden and certainly Shane Ray, but the way there's not much of a drop-off when you look at Harris and Loud behind them, and you look at the 4 guys, the interior tackles, and the way that Matt Hoch is playing right now, Harold Brantley is playing right now, Josh Augustus playing right now, and then Lucas Vincent in the best shape of his life. It's that combination of 4 guys has really kind of defined that defensive front, hasn't it? The way that they've risen their game?
Yeah, it really does, too. And I think we've gotten a lot better as a group playing. I think that's what you do when you don't have injuries, that you compete at a high level. And, they play together, and we sub a lot, too. And Craig Kuligowski, our defensive line coach, does an excellent job of that. But it's very, very competitive. We've stayed reasonably healthy there, too. That's helped us, as we did a year ago. And if you want to be good on defense, you better start up front. And really, it's the same way on offense. In this league at the level we're at, being good up front gives you a chance to have a really, really good defense. And I think the rest of we're playing pretty darn good defense right now.
Well, you look at the guys though that have come through here, and you didn't get a chance to coach Justin Smith. He went to the NFL as you were arriving. It was the number 4 pick overall, so it made a lot of sense for him to go at that point in time. But you look at guys that are still in the league, whether it be a Ziggy Hood or a C.J. Mosley, and then of course the other guys that have come before them out of that room. What is it about that group that each year continues to pop out a high-level player or 2? How does it happen?
I just think so, it's a pretty good position to have that happen to. Also,
it's a great position.
Yeah, I mean,
particularly in this league, which by the way is about big guys.
And, what you want to do is you want to have quarterback luck like that, recruiting good quarterbacks. You have good quarterbacks, and then you want to have recruit guys that can get the other guys quarterbacks. That's what you want to do, and we've been fortunate there. We've got it going. I think recruiting. I think certainly we're known for that now. I think that certainly helps. But I think it's first evaluation and also player development. And I think Craig Kuligowski is a good defensive line coach there in the country. So I think a combination of all those things that's helped us, and certainly it's helped us be a better defense.
From a recruiting standpoint, too, how much does it help that you've got so many guys now in the league, and can that also pay dividends now as you look to the offensive side of the ball? A guy like Justin Britt, first offensive lineman from Missouri, drafted in quite a while. I mean,
Yeah.
Colin Brown came in as a late-round draft. Justin Britt goes in the second round. How much does that help from a recruiting standpoint?
Well, I don't think there's a question about it. You know, we have jerseys hung up from all the players that have got drafted and that made NFL teams in every one of our position rooms. And so, you know, if you went through and took a picture of all of them, we've had a lot of guys drafted, really. And we had Tim Barnes, you're talking about Tim,
absolutely,
too.
Yeah.
Tim doing a great job.
Still
And
with
so
the Rams.
so we have some guys that, you know, both sides play in the NFL. And well, you market that. You market like you market graduation rates. You know, you market how many guys you have playing in the NFL. And you know, I remember when we first got here and we were struggling with the program real early, and I was back and golfing with Don James back in Seattle, and I was really frustrated. I think we went losing season, went to a bowl and had another losing season. So I'm called, and I know I'm doing everything he taught me to do. I'm doing everything right. And I was golfing with him, and I look right before he's hit a ball. I say, Coach, I says, I'm really frustrated because I'm doing everything you taught me to do. I mean, the attention to detail, the discipline, the organization, every aspect of the program. But I said, you know. And typically to him, he just kind of looked at me, didn't say anything. He hit his ball, he went down. About 2 holes later, we got up on the tee. And he started getting ready to hit. And he paused and looked at me. He said, Gary, I've been thinking about what you're saying. He said, when you start getting more guys drafted, you'll start winning more football games. And his point was, you can coach all you want, but you got to have good players.
Right.
And good players is not only recruiting, but it's player development, in which is Mizzou made for us. We think we do it better than anybody else. So, you know, you gotta be able to do those things too. I mean, there's not magic out there. I was a fan Saturday night watching all the college football games, and you got to make plays. I mean, there's not, you know, coaches got to put players in position to make plays, but ultimately guys have to go out there and make plays, and that's how you're going to win. So that's really obviously important too.
And a guy that made a lot of plays during his time at the University of Missouri is going to be on Monday Night Football tonight.
Yeah,
named Macklin.
Jeremy Macklin. Jeremy having a great year with the Philadelphia Eagles. And really proud of Jeremy. J-Mac's just a great kid. And, you know, I remember he was sitting in my office with him and his some of his relatives making a decision whether he wanted to go or not. And we knew that he was probably going to be a top 15, 20 pick. And from the information we had, and he looked at me, which is really odd. He looked at me and says, Coach, what do you think? You know, because they were asking, you know, are you ready and everything else. His parents were looking at him. And he looked at me and said, what do you think? And I said, J-Mac, I said, if you're ready, and I think you're ready, you got to go, man. You're going to be a great player. And a lot of people look at me and say, well, why would you tell them? Why don't you keep them around for another year? But that's not the point. The point is, and I always deal with all these guys, I treat them as if they're my kids. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to be a first or second round draft pick, I'm going to tell you that you probably should do this unless you're not ready yet. And if you're not ready, then you should stay. But J-Mac's a great kid, and you know, we're having a great. Everybody remembers.
I remember his sophomore year. We were doing this show, and he happened to be not on the show, but he was in the house. And you, during a break, kind of hit me on the arm, and you said, you want to see a first-round draft choice, what that looks like? And you pointed at J-Mac and said, he's right there.
Yeah.
That's what I remember about Jeremy very early on. It was obvious what a great player he was going to be. 21 minutes after the hour of 7 o'clock, this is Tiger Talk. We'll continue after this on the Tiger Network from Learfield Sports.
Mock wants to throw, pressure front side. Rainbow's right sideline intended for Sasser, over the shoulder grab, touchdown Missouri. Another perfectly thrown ball by Matty Mock, and a terrific catch over his shoulder on the right side of the end zone by Bud Sasser as he beat J.D. Harmon on the coverage.
Tiger Talk continues here on the Tiger Network from Learfield Sports. I'm Mike Kelly. Coming up in our next segment, our Farmland Foods Player segment with Matt Hoch and also Evan Boehm. November the 28th is Black Friday at Memorial Stadium. It begins the Battle Line rivalry presented by Shelter Insurance, Mizzou and Arkansas. Line has been drawn. Get ready to roar. It's a 1:30 kickoff. Game will be televised on CBS. Tickets available at 1-800-CAT-PAWS or 884-PAWS. You can log on to mutigers.com. Celebrate Thanksgiving on Thursday. Bring the entire family to Faurot Field to watch the Tigers on Senior Day take on the Razorbacks coming up on Friday afternoon. Coach Gary Pinkel is with us, and another guy who's receiving high praise. In fact, today Jeff Fisher specifically talked about the play of E.J. Gaines today. So he's another guy that not only is playing a lot, but also kind of making his mark early on.
Yeah, how about that? What a difficult position to play too in that league, but it does not surprise me. We've talked about E.J. Gaines a lot. A lot of people, because he didn't hit the height mark for a corner, just won't even evaluate one. Some teams don't do that, and that's certainly a mistake with him. And when the Rams took him, I said quality to whoever I was with, that I don't think they realize what a steal that was, and now obviously they do. He should have been drafted much, much higher than what he has, and he's just a great player. He's got the ability to cover people and recover and make plays. And, you coach that and you teach that. Cornell Ford does a great job of that on our staff. But, you got to have the it factor to do that, and he naturally does that. And he was that way when he was a freshman. That's why he played so early, and that's why he's starting and playing in the NFL.
Much more to talk about Texas A&M a little bit later, but just on their wide receivers, it's as talented as a group of receivers as you're going to see this season.
Yeah, they're very talented. They've got good players, but we expected them to. Good quarterbacks, got a great offensive scheme, and so we're not really sure who we're going to see at quarterback. But there's some outstanding guys with outstanding speed that can make plays, and they can also run after they catch the football. So that'll be a challenge for us.
Much more coming up on the Aggies a little later in the show. We're going to take a break. When we come back, our Farmland Foods Player segment with Matt Hoch is next. This is Tiger Talk on the Tiger Network from Learfield Sports.
Two running backs flanking Tolles, who out of the shotgun wants to throw. Pressure backside, hidden sacked, and Missouri gets the football.
Tiger Talk continues here on the Tiger Network from Learfield Sports. I'm Mike Kelly. Time now for our Farmland Foods Player segment, brought to you by Farmland, proud supporters of Mizzou Athletics. Farmland, a passion for pork since 1959. He is a junior, starting center. Started every game on Missouri's offensive line since he arrived from Lee Summit, Missouri. Please say hi to number 77, Evan Boehm. And he is a senior defensive tackle from Harlan, Iowa. Please welcome Matt Hoch, number 89. Your brother Dan started the connection between Mizzou football and the state of Iowa. You have continued that trend. By the way, coming here as a tight end, a defensive lineman. You graduate, though, this year, and thus there will be no more Iowa players, at least as we know at this point in time, left on the roster. I mean, do you feel like you're holding up the state here, or how do you feel about that, bud?
I guess I am. We are holding up the Iowa legacy, and for us, I just want to, for all the guys back home, I just want to be there for them and do everything in my power to compete and show them a little Harlan pride from our high school, because that is coming to a close, and I just want to give them all the respect and everything they do for us, as far as just giving me shout-outs and caring for us as individuals here at the University of Missouri.
Tell folks what Dan's doing these days.
Dan is up in Sioux Falls, South Dakota with his wife, Megan Christopher, who was a softball player here at the University of Missouri. And he is coaching at a very small school right outside of Sioux Falls, a rural school at Baltic, South Dakota. And he's up there, and he unfortunately is with a team that struggles quite a bit, and they've only won 2 games in the last, 5-6 years. And this year with him coaching, they won 3 games out of 9. So, I mean, that's not too bad. So,
step in the right direction. But one of the most impressive notes, and it talks about the tightness of the Hoch family and how close they are. Tell them what you told me about Dan Hoch and his loyalty to watching his brother play.
So far this season, the only game he's missed is the University of Florida matchup down in Gainesville. He's gone to every other single game. He flew to the South Carolina game with my dad, and he went to all the home games. So, and that's a 7.5-hour trip every weekend. So,
how cool is that?
That's pretty awesome.
That's very cool. Evan Boehm, how are you tonight?
I'm doing just fine.
You got a little time to go home and hang out with the family this weekend, huh?
I did. It was a lot of fun.
So what did you do? Let me guess. Your dad's a football coach. Your brother's an aspiring player. Did you watch some football this weekend?
I think we watched a lot of football. And Friday night we went down to the Rockers Blue Springs game, and
which was a classic.
Which is always a classic between those two guys. But we went there and we watched football, and I could just look at my dad and I could tell that he was upset because it was the same game that he was supposed to be in and everything like that. So he was a little upset, but we watched a great football game, and then my brother was getting recruited by a team that I won't say on the other side of the state line. And so Sunday we went down and I hung out with Tyler and took a little trip with Tyler and kind of walked him through the process of what you need to be looking for and what needs to go on. And I did not wear any of those god-awful colors, but I did show some support to my Tyler, which is needed at sometimes, and took the big brother role, and we stayed till half and then drove home and finished the rest of the football night with the rest of the A&M game and then the Auburn game and then just that Alabama LSU game, which was another classic football game.
So when you're in beautiful East Summit, and when the breeze is right, coming out of the west, you can still kind of smell the stench every once in a while, can't you?
You can, yeah. No, you definitely can, but you kind of get used to it.
I gave a note before you sat down, or as I introduced you. You've started every game since you arrived at the University of Missouri. That'll be 36 consecutive starts this weekend. Was that beyond your wildest dreams when you arrived in high school?
Yeah, I if you would have told me getting recruited that I would start 36 straight games for Coach Pinkel, if Coach Pinkel would have told me that, I just would have been like, yeah, okay, like that's a dream come true, but you know, it's really happening, and great job with keeping us healthy and keeping our body fresh throughout the season. And then once something's wrong with us, Rex does a great job taking care of us. So I really owe it to those two guys right there for keeping me healthy and believing in me and the things that I've been doing.
Lee Summit native Evan Boehm is with us, and so is, of course, Harlan, Iowa's own Matt Hoch. You've been a guy that, unfortunately, has had to battle the injury bug since you arrived here. You've had a lot of different things you've had to go through, but knock on wood, you're operating at full strength right now, correct?
Yeah. So I had an issue with my pec early on in the year, and for the most part, that's cleared up, and I've been able to maximize my production on the field, and I've progressed throughout the season. Hopefully, I can continue to do that throughout the rest of the season.
Does adversity like that make you stronger?
I think so. I think it's definitely very challenging when it first hits you and you're all down in the dumps, and all you can think about is, wow, I'm losing all this progress. Wow, I'm hurt. Not going to be able to help the team as well as I could. So with all of that, all you have to do, for me, I just use positive. I use positive psychology and positive self-talk and all those things that my master's is incorporating, just to think of the positives, to move forward each and every day, and to be proactive with all of those issues related to the injury, and try and beat around the issue for the injury so that you can come back as healthy as possible.
Of course, you've got your degree under your master's program. What is your master's program?
It's a master's in education, positive psychology here at the university.
And you know, obviously, do you see a lot of Coach McGuire in that body of work, or not?
I don't see Coach McGuire too often. Every once in a while, you'll see him roam in the halls, but
yeah. So he doesn't teach any of that curriculum at all. What would you like to eventually to do with that?
Hopefully, down the road, I want to teach for at least 3 to 5 years back in Iowa. On if I really like it, or if I find administration more of an appeal for me, I might go ahead and go into the administration role and hopefully be either an athletic director or a principal down the road. So I might again get another master's down the road. It's just hard to tell right now. You
arrived, as I said earlier, as a tight end. Now you're playing defensive tackle. When did that transition take place? And did you ever think in your wildest dreams you'd be a 300-plus pound defensive tackle?
No, not at all. I thought for sure I'd play tight end the whole time here, but with time I felt like the defensive side of the ball was more my knack. I like tackling kids, and I just like being more aggressive. Starting out, I was like, yeah, I'm going to be able to catch all these touchdowns, do all this, do all of that. But with time and with thinking to myself at nights, and with talking to all the different coaches and stuff, I came to a realization by myself that the defensive side of the ball was more for me. And after breaking my foot and everything after my redshirt freshman year, I packed on about 30 pounds in about 5 or 6 weeks to be able to fight for that defensive tackle position going into my redshirt sophomore year, and I was able to pull it off.
That's Matt Hoch, of course, Tigers defensive tackle, starting defensive tackle from Harlan, Iowa. Evan Boehm is with us as well from Lee Summit, Missouri. Your father, a very successful high school coach. So obviously he sees the game in a different way than most fathers do. Take us through kind of a post-game synopsis, if you will, of what those conversations will be like between you and your father, Royce.
You know, it's really cool because when my dad shows up and watches me play, you know, he does go into coach mode sometimes, and he analyzes the way I play, and he's a defensive line specialist, so he knows the moves and he knows all that stuff. But the cool thing after the game, and he's just a dad, and so he comes out and, you know, after a tough loss or a big win, he acts the exact same, because, you know, he knows how it feels to be in those situations, and you know, he's out there being that dad instead of that coach, and he was like that in high school, and he was really good of keeping the football on the football field and at the high school, and then being a dad at home.
As you made your way here, what were some of the things that he told you during the process, in terms of you, because you counseled your brother?
Yeah.
What was his counsel during the recruiting process?
You know, he he sees coaches come in and out of the high school, so he knows when the coaches are telling the truth and when the coaches are kind of pulling your chain a little bit to get you to come to their school. And he just told me to be patient with not only making a decision, but be patient of doing everything right and make sure you want to commit to a school before you're there, and look at the facilities that they have, and look at the coaching staff, and the big thing with Coach Pinkel and his staff is that they've been here for a very long time, and that that they're going to be sticking around even when you're here. And that's a big thing that sticks out is that family atmosphere too with the Coach Pinkel and his staff, and then how they treat every player. And I really found out as the process went is that the way they treated you when they came to the high school or came to your house visit is that they treated you the same way as you get treated right now. And that family atmosphere is really huge, especially coming from playing for my dad.
From an offensive line standpoint, you've got now about, I think it's 4 games with the same lineup, the same guys intact. How important is that continuity and be able to work together not only week to week in the game?
It's huge because you have 5 guys. You have Taylor Chappell from Canadian, Texas. You have Connor McGovern from Fargo, North Dakota. Myself from Kansas City. You have Brad McNulty from Allen, Texas, and then you got Mitch Morris from Austin. Those are 5 guys that had no idea how to play with each other when we first got here. And that's the cool thing about the offensive line is that those 5 guys that you don't know, you have to become brothers in an instant and be able to make those 5 guys work as one unit. And if one person's off, then the whole play is off, and something's wrong with the whole play. And we have a saying, put it on the line, and that's what we're doing. And having the 5 guys go out there and start multiple games together, you kind of get used to the way we talk and the way we communicate and the way each other works. So on a certain play, I know how Connor's going to take this block, and then on another certain play, I know how Brad's going to take this block.
Why is it the offensive linemen are guys with beards and the defensive linemen are not? Just kind of curious. I'm just thinking about that. The offensive lineman, I don't know that McNulty can grow a beard, but I'm just saying that most of you guys with the big furry face, you guys, I mean, what's that all about? Why do they all have beards, you think?
Because we're called the Big Uglies. And so why not?
You're just trying to promote the cause of the Big Uglies.
Exactly.
It all started with that trend on beards and mullets with Evan and Maddie, and it's been going on for years too with Max Copeland and all those guys back in the day. So it's just been one of those trends that's been going on for a while. On the defensive line, we just do our own thing for the most part. We don't have any. We're just we're individuals playing together for a common purpose, and we just have fun together.
You have fun playing together. It's a tight group, but it's also a very driven group within that meeting room. Mm-hmm. And we talked a little bit about the names that have gone before you, but do you into the defensive line room for the first time? Do you feel the competitive nature, or take us inside? Just what's that like?
Well, you're always competing for a spot. This season, we've been rotating with the defensive tackles, and it's always a competition each and every week. And everybody out there is just trying to get better during practice and during the games. And it all starts with our leadership on the defensive line, starting with Marcus Golden. He just has that drive and passion that you just don't see in college football at all. And he just gets everybody else fired up and everybody else going, and gets everybody's motors going. And that's just his mentality, and that his leadership has been a crucial role for the success of our defensive line so far this year.
I want to go back to you just from an educational standpoint, because you talked about Matt's degree program. What are you studying right now, and when will you graduate?
Right now, I changed my major from business to hospitality management, and I'm on pace to graduate next December.
Next December. From again, back to the offensive line, how much inspiration do you draw from a guy like Justin Britt and seeing what he accomplished?
No, it's not only Justin Britt, but it's Tim Barnes too. Right. And a special thing that Tim and I do is that after every game, Tim shoots me a little text message, and hey, like if it was a tough loss, say, hey, keep your head up, And then if a good win, but make sure you keep your boys rolling, and that's something special. And you know, Tim started that this year, and then we have a little conversation. I wish him luck on his game the next day, and you know, you have guys like Justin, you have guys like Tim, and you even Coach Ricker, you know, coming in and being a former player for Coach Pinkel and the former center. You just have that motivation that you want to step into their shoes and step into that role and make sure you accomplish and make those guys proud.
Final moments with Evan Boehm and with Matt Hoch. Matt Hoch, tell us something about Evan Boehm that he doesn't want us to know.
All right. Mr. Boehm over here. He was at a water park, and he was going down a water slide. And as he came down at the bottom of the slide, he biffed it, and he knocked his 2 front teeth out. So currently he has 2 fake incisors for his teeth right now.
Yeah,
he went old school. I mean,
Yeah,
he went back to 5th grade.
He went
it's
back.
Like memories of T. Rucker and Lorenzo Williams, who used to go, old school on each other. All right, give us something about Matt Hoch.
I think it's something that he would like everybody to know. Matt has been with his now fiance since 6th grade, and they are going to get married this next July in Iowa. And she is a dentist named Mary. So Matt kind of married into the money instead of having the money.
Thanks for that, Evan.
There's nothing wrong with that, is there?
No.
So next July, what's the date?
7/11/15.
7/11/15. And if people want to send presents to you and Mary, where should they send them? Never mind, that might be a violation.
All right.
Matt Hoch, Evan Boehm, back after this as Tiger Talk continues on the Tiger Network from Learfield Sports.
Vulcan tied right, 3 receivers left, ball in the right hash. They show blitz from the left of the formation. Mock's going to keep it to the right, running behind McNulty to the 40, 35, 30. Right sideline 25. He's dragged down by a horse collar inside the 15.
Tiger Talk continues here on the Tiger Network from Learfield Sports. This year, the attorneys at Lathrop & Gage proud to recognize the Three Stripes Club and its efforts to recognize truly outstanding student athletes. Tonight, we'd like to recognize Cole Baumgartner of the Missouri wrestling team. The Three Stripes Club honors student athletes who constantly do the right thing when no one is looking. So go above and beyond socially, academically, and athletically. That's from Lathrop & Gage, serving Missouri business since 1873. Tomorrow's a very important day. It is Veterans Day. Make sure that you take time to have a thought and a prayer about those truly selfless men and women of the military who serve our country and protect our freedom literally around the world. And so tomorrow, make sure you take time to pause and think about our veterans and to the job they do and giving you something that you wouldn't normally have. Also want to pay tribute to a very special charity that I'm involved with, SEGS for Vets, based in St. Louis, coming up on Wednesday in front of the Alamo in San Antonio, Texas. That charity will present 40 Segways to our servicemen and women whose mobility has greatly been challenged by service in Iraq and Afghanistan. So, again, that's coming up Wednesday in front of the Alamo in San Antonio, Texas. For more, go to SEGS, S-E-G-S, 4, the number 4, VETS.org. Tiger Talk continues after this on the Tiger Network from Learfield Sports.
Keeping it is the quarterback. He's going to be stopped shy. Michael Shear delivers the final blow.
Tiger Talk continues here on the Tiger Network from Learfield Sports. Final segment, rejoined by Tigers head coach Gary Pinkel as his team is on the road this week as the Tigers travel to College Station, Texas to take on the Aggies of Texas A&M. MPix.com, proud to bring you the 2014 Mizzou Fan Photo Contest. You can email your favorite Mizzou fan photos to mpix@mutigers.com, mpix@mutigers.com. A chance to win 2015 season tickets. Off to Kyle Field. Truly one of the great environments in college football.
Yeah, it's again, we keep talking about all these SEC stadiums to play in, historic, and that's one of the great things about playing in this league. That and I tell my players, you got to embrace it, man. We get a chance to go play in that great stadium, and it's up to 100,000 people now. So I'm going to think from 88 to 100,000 or something like that. But it's a great environment, and it's fun to play and fun to compete in that kind of environment.
Kyle Allen steps in as their starting quarterback over the last 2 games, and in this latest opportunity, his second start on the road at Auburn, he throws 4 touchdown passes in the first half. The young man was terrific, wasn't he?
Yeah, he did a great job. He's got a great receiving core. They've been playing really well as a group all season. They're a remarkably potent offensive football team. I think it's just Kevin. That's what he does. That's what he did at Houston. That's what he did with Johnny Manziel. And they just run their offense. They do what they do. They have a great system and scheme, and they throw the ball a lot. They'll throw the ball about 65% of the time. So, certainly get tested there, and obviously that puts a little bit more. Don't just put pressure on our defense, but it puts a little more opportunity and responsibility to our offense. So it works both ways.
The tempo that they play with on the offensive side of the ball, how much stress does that put on a defense?
Well, it does. I mean, the more completions you throw, the faster they move, the faster they go. And I think anybody that does high tempo, it's difficult. Mm-hmm. And how you kind of control that a little bit is you change the situation. If you can, it's a first down, they get 1st and 6, and then obviously they just tempo it and keep going. It's first down, it's incomplete. You won't see the tempo quite as fast. So I think there's a lot of kind of pressure that you have when you're facing that kind of an offense, but yet we see it a lot, and we got to work hard to do well against it, and that's the call here.
Really kind of a showcase too from a defensive standpoint of 4 really good defensive ends, 2 on your side and 2 on their side.
Yeah, they got some great defensive ends. They're one of the leading sack teams in the country, mm-hmm. and not only in our conference but in the country, and so they put some pressure on. They got some a couple young. Long kids that can run and very competitive. And so we're certainly have our challenge there.
Well, and as you have said many, many times in this situation, it's about you. Yeah. The bottom line, it's about how you prepare and how you focus when it comes to what takes place on Saturday.
Well, that's the stadium. That's everything. We say it's a great place to play and all that other things, but if you're worried about the stadium or concerned about the fans or the crowd noise and everything else, there's no way in the world you're going to play your best game. So it's it gets back to that. It doesn't matter who we play or where we play. It's about how we play. That's why I constantly talk about how we play in our preparation to play our very, very best, because that ultimately will give you a chance to win a game. So I think we had a good week last week. I think we're excited about this week. It's a great opportunity. This is game 2. This is game 2 in November, and we know the importance of November.
And what about just from a practice standpoint this past week? From an offensive standpoint, a lot of execution, a lot of work on that, right?
Yeah, we just work on it. I was asked at the press conference, what did you work on? We work on everything. We constantly work on everything. And it's all about execution. It's 11 guys getting their job done. Unlike defense, a couple guys can make a mistake, people can recover offensively, and Evan was you got assignment football, and then it gives our skilled players a chance to make some plays. So we'll continue to work on our execution, and hopefully we'll continue to get better.
Go get it done. Travel safe. We'll see you down at College Station.
Thank you all for being here. Appreciate it.
Tigers head coach Gary Pinkel. His team on the road Saturday evening, 6:30 at Kyle Field. Our coverage begins at 4:30 right here on the Tiger Network. Thanks for listening to Tiger Talk on